Welcome to the Big and Small podcast. I'm Jason Shields and I'm big.
And I'm Marit Gabrielsen, and I'm small.
Yes, and we're here this morning to chat, relax, talk, and enjoy. Talk about some important themes and share with you a little bit from our hearts about how we see things, how we experience things in our lives. And hopefully you'll enjoy. Okay, so in podcast 3, we talked a lot about the process that you're working with right now, Marit. And I thought it was really beautiful the way you explained your discoveries around the fact that good and bad, light and dark, inward moving and outward moving emotions, all of these things are a part of who you are as a total being, your totality. You know, you and I talk often about being total, not just about being good or bad or light or dark or happy or sad. And, you know, we often identify ourselves as happy people or driven people. We often have a set of emotions, usually a positive one and a negative one that we identify with as our massive movers. Like, I'm a happy person, but don't get me angry. I'm an angry person too. Or I often get sad. I'm a sad person. You know, some people even admit that to themselves, though we always want to imagine ourselves on that positive side. If we don't have contact with both of our emotional charges, if we don't have that scale of happy and sad, for example, or light and dark, or inward moving or outward moving emotion, we're not powerful as human beings. And as we are growing, we go through different phases. We have a phase where we're just basically becoming aware that we're an entity on the planet. You know, as a child, you know, you're not very self-aware before the age of 12. It's me, but not really I in relationship to other people. You know, and as you come into your 12th year, psychologically speaking, you know, 12th, 13th year, you start developing a perception of yourself in relationship to other people, the I. And from that, we start developing a sense of who we want to be, or who our teachers and preachers, mothers and fathers have taught us to be in that. And then as we get in our 20s and our 30s, we start becoming aware in the way that we're like, hey, hold on a second. I don't have to be like they told me I had to be. I can be like I want to be. And then we start discovering different aspects of ourselves. So sometimes we have to go through the whole emotional range. Sometimes we have to go through periods of depression or sadness, for example. Though we want to be happy people, you know, we have to go through these periods in order to really expand our emotional keyboard. You know, do you only want to play music with half of your piano keyboard? You don't, of course not. So, you know, that being said, you know, how are you doing? What's going on these days? You know, has anything changed from the last time we talked?
That's a very interesting question. I don't know. I can't answer that question actually, because I don't know where I am right now. It's changing. It's in a way stepping out of the dark side is not necessarily the right use of word here, but the darker side of it. I have to use that word again, in lack of a better one. But I think the most interesting side of it is that you have to really accept that you have everything. It's something to say, yeah, I can be a, sorry to say it, asshole sometimes. I can be angry, I can be frustrated, I can be everything. And I think it's very hard to admit that and actually believe it and mean it and be it. Because it's very easy to say, yeah, of course I can be angry sometimes. And yeah, maybe sometimes I can act like a douchebag. But it's something else to admit it and say, you know, sometimes I'm not that nice. And accept that side about you. And then you can, because I think if you can choose not choose, but if you can admit that to yourself, that sometimes you do not act as you should.
Mm-mm.
Sometimes you are angry when you shouldn't be. Sometimes you say things you shouldn't have said, and accept that. Then you can also choose not to be that.
Mm-hmm.
And that feeling emotion will not take over you, because you can actually decide not to do that then in a more concrete way, in a way.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful point, because people are like, oh, I want to be unconditional love. I want to have unconditional love in my life, and I want to express that to everybody. And then at the same time, they forget that unconditional love means total acceptance. And do you want to love yourself? Of course. Oh, you need to love yourself before you can love anybody else. That whole thing, But really, it's quite true. And to really accept the fact that you can be a douchebag, that you do have days you're off and you perceive things in a different way than everybody else is perceiving it, and you react or something like that. And you accept yourself for that and be kind enough to yourself to realize that, being this all-giving, ever-loving, super positive point of light in the universe for everybody at all times is probably not expressing a whole range of human emotion or experience.
No, and I also think if you want to live like that, you're going to, one, have a limited life. And second, you kind of refuse to look at a very big part of yourself. Because everyone have everything.
That's right.
That's the thing of being a total. But it's different to admit it and not just say it.
Yeah.
Because we have had this conversation often with the boys as well. And we say, yeah, but and do you have anger? And everyone raises their hand, yeah, I have anger. And do you have happiness? Yeah, I have happiness. But again, are you accepting that side of yourself?
Right.
That's
it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, because it's about that process. Because how can you have love without acceptance? And I can say that I love you. I don't appreciate the actions that you're doing, for example, but you still accept that person. The same thing as you accept yourself. And interestingly enough, okay, you're a douchebag. Great. You're also a saint. You're also a hero. And you're also a coward. Everybody is, everybody's a coward at their last set on their last rep in the gym. It's everybody's going for it and may not accomplish it. People cheat on their diets. People pull out of things, and they're like,
but they have a reason for doing that.
Yeah,
so
right.
Then it's and that is also the thing that you don't have, like you said, you cheat on your diet or whatever, but then you have a reason for it. You don't follow your treatment plan. Yeah, but I had a reason for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, of course you had a reason for it. I hope you had a reason for it.
Yeah.
But that still doesn't change the fact that you didn't come to your appointments. The fact that you missed your weight category because you ate cake every day in advance. But then to also forgive yourself.
Exactly.
That happened and you did that, and not get traumatized or suffer from it.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, I think this is an interesting and fun illustration for that. I remember I was doing the European Championship in Rome in Jiu-Jitsu. And we had fighting in the kimono the first day. And then, the bane of every grappler's existence is that you have to make weight for the gi or the kimono. And then the day afterwards, you have like a no-gi championship or a no-gi competition. And no-gi, you actually have to drop your weight quite a bit to make weight, right? And the guy that was the best fighter in the category besides me, and we had war the day before, and I beat him. Like, it was a war, and I was really looking forward to seeing him again in no-gi. And I was cutting weight, man, and I was suffering, and I was, spitting into a cup trying to get water weight down to make sure I could make the weight category and everything. And it turns out the one guy that I wanted to fight, that guy went out and had a big pasta dinner to celebrate his silver medal, and he blew his weight. And now here's the weird thing, okay? Like, if I was going there for a medal, of course, he's the best fighter. So I wrecked everybody else. I got the gold medal. I walked away and I felt great about myself for winning the gold medal. But that wasn't really the reason that I was competing. I was competing to test myself, and he was my best test. And he blew his weight. I was standing right behind him, and he was on the scale. And I'm like, man, you didn't make weight? And he's like, oh, I guess I ate too much. I'm like, how could you? I came all the way to Rome to fight you. I came all this way for you. And I've been suffering for like 3 months to get down to weight. And I suffered all last night, hardly slept, and took a hot shower and slept in sweat clothes and sweated out to make sure I could make my weight today. It's like, dude. And he just laughed and he's like, well, I guess you get to be the European champion then. And it's like, how can, it's a European championship. Come on, man. And he's just like, well, that's what happened. Shook it off and walked away. Now, the fact that he didn't make weight and he had a reason for it in his mind or whatever, I don't know. But the consequences are still there. The consequences of not making your diet or not showing up to your appointments if you're going through some treatment or whatever are still yours. So in a way, he taught me a really good lesson, because the consequences are punishment enough. You don't have to walk around then hating yourself afterwards, right?
No, and like we talk about we have a, webinar.
Yeah, the webinar.
About, I miss webinar and workshop. We have a webinar on that about recovery.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like how fast you recover from it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, should he suffer for that? He fucked up, basically.
Yeah.
Should he suffer with that a half a year, or should it just go, okay, it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Should now eat pasta before a competition?
Exactly.
When you have to make weight, okay, let's go on.
Exactly. Like, oop, that happened, and that's part of recovery. But the first step of recovery is acceptance that this is what it is, right? And emotionally, very many people make the mistake of being so afraid to be sad, or so afraid to be depressed, or so afraid that they deny those emotions. They run away from those emotions, and they do everything they can to climb away out of the depression pit as fast as they can. And I'm not saying that they should stay there on purpose. That's not the thing. But they're so afraid of it. They're so afraid they can't even look at that part of themselves.
I understand that, because it's not a very pleasant place to be.
No.
I can't say that the last months have been very pleasurable.
No.
Have been very fun.
No, exactly.
So I totally understand the fear of it and wanting to get out of it as fast as possible. But at the same time, I think it's a necessary process to go through. And like we talked about in episode 3, I think it's is much more healthy if you go into it on purpose, knowing that this is it's a process.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's hard not to get lost in it. And if you don't have any guidance or any anchor anywhere, like I'm so fortunate to have you guys that make sure that I can see that it's a process, I can work through it. Yeah. But if you don't have that, I understand you want to climb out of that as fast as possible.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's it.
And it's better, more pleasant, maybe, less scary to just put a blanket over it.
Yeah, exactly.
And ignore it.
Exactly.
But again, the issue is that it's still there.
It's still there, and you still fall into it. It's just, instead of accepting, dealing with it, and moving on, people do the whole escapism thing. They throw themselves into something else. They get busy with something, and they never deal with what's on the inside, and they have no training in that.
It's kind of like you have a water leak in your house. It's not big, but it's there. And you cover it up with blankets, but you're still then going to get mold in your house.
Yeah, absolutely.
And at one point, it's not a stable house anymore.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So it's to cover it up is not the best solution, maybe.
Exactly.
But I think you can take breaks from it. Many people think you can take tiny breaks.
Yeah.
And kind of, okay, let's cover it up a little bit to...
Yeah, get a breather. But
again, make a conscious decision about, let's now watch a movie and just disappear a little bit into something else.
Exactly.
And before you start looking at it again.
Yeah, and weirdly enough, harnessing that power, because we talk about how energy, universe is energy, and emotions are energy, right? And you can use your emotions to power different activities and power... looking on the inside and looking on the outside. And when my mom died, We talked about how I basically roasted every competition for 2 years afterwards. I had that power harness, but that's only because I've confronted my anger and despair and hopelessness and my sadness and my depression. I was able then to chain those together and use that as a turbocharge for my competitions. I don't think anybody, not only did they not, I was not submitted, they didn't score any points, they didn't even score any advantages on me for 2 years. I mean, it was a complete clean, I took everything. And that's the point, that if you want to be able to be friends with your emotions and use them and get driven by them and be able to drive them, then you must take time to get to know them. And it's not wrong to want to be happy in a way.
Or far from it. I would much rather be happy than than be in depression. But I think it's if you don't have the polarity,
right,
then it's very hard to enjoy happiness as well.
Exactly.
Because then it's just normal, you know.
Yeah, that's
it. How can you be happy if what is happiness then?
Right. Exactly.
You know. So I think it's you need a polarity, but then again, try to watch it happen instead of falling into it. Right. And that's what I've been lucky with this process. Again, I think because I have you guys and I consciously went into it.
Yeah.
Is that I've been able to watch it. And although it's happening and I'm in it, I'm still able to see it from a distance as well.
Right.
To see, okay, what is this?
Exactly.
And understanding it's a phase. And like I said, it's very hard for me to describe where I am right now because it's changing very much. It's switching and it's switching within 10 seconds.
Yeah. Totally.
Right now it's switching from inward going to outward going.
Yes.
In 10 seconds.
Yes.
And I have no clue why, and I have no clue what's triggering it and or how it is. So in that way, it was actually more pleasant being in just one side.
Yeah.
Because now it's kind of like mood swings, but it's not mood swings.
Yeah.
Because it's just, you can feel the emotional drive forward. And then half a minute later, all of a sudden I'm sitting closed up, and I'm like, what's this? What's happening? And we can have a normal conversation around a dinner table, and I'm watching this and feeling it happening, which is quite interesting. But again, very happy that I can watch it and not having to be in it. If you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And that's something that, you and I talk about a lot with the boys. The whole idea of the integrated human is to help people utilize the resources they have inside them so that they can get a more fulfilling and better life for themselves and be more conscious, right? So we say that we have a clear mind, a heart filled with love, and a body that can respond. Those are the things that you really want. And in order to have a heart filled with love, you have to actually have the whole spectrum. You have to be total. That's number one. And you have to have acceptance for who you are and your situation. That's a prerequisite. And then you have to have a body that can respond for whatever situation you're in, right? But that clear mind, that awareness that you have is beautiful, because most people think that the old philosophical statement that I think, therefore I am, is true, which number one is absolutely bizarre, because everybody has moments where they're not thinking, and then of course they don't disappear, right? So thinking is not you. You have moments without thinking, you don't disappear. The other one is that the emotional state. Emotions are very, very powerful, and they're very primal. And a lot of people identify with their emotions. I feel angry. I am angry. I am happy. I am depressed, meaning that they're making a statement about who they are when they're having their emotions.
And the difference between I am and I feel.
Yes.
It's two very different things. Because I feel a lot, but I'm not always.
Yes.
It's not me necessarily.
Exactly.
Because I can choose to although you can't ignore the feeling, you can
No.
choose to act upon the feeling.
Yes, exactly. And you're also, you understand that you're looking, you're witnessing, you are aware of the fact that you're having the feeling instead of being completely consumed by it. Because if you are depression,
That's heavy.
that's very heavy, right? That's
Ugh.
very, yeah. And there's no way out of that in that sense, right?
Then you lost.
Then you're lost.
Basically.
Exactly. And that's,
Or in the same in happiness, because if I'm
I
happy,
am happy.
you're so blind. And then like if you're happy, I have made so many bad decisions being happy.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Because you are so high.
You're so high.
And you don't think about, you have all the energy in the world, and you don't think about the consequences in the long term.
Yep.
So you say yes to things you shouldn't have said yes to. And then a month later, when that thing happens and you said yes to go to something or take part in something, and you are not ecstatic or happy,
right,
and don't have that outward going energy, and you're not
yeah,
ooh,
yeah,
and then you go shit.
Yep.
And that happens so many times that I get before, because I was happy.
Yes. Yeah.
I was ecstatic.
Exactly.
Nothing's wrong. Nothing. You
full of energy. Nothing
can
stop you. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
I think to get lost both in the high ones and in the low ones are it can bite you.
That's a beautiful point. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think it's super important that, although I'm really loving the good feelings, of course, and you need to enjoy it, but then use it good, and not getting lost in it.
Exactly.
Because again, you have to deal with the consequences of everything.
Exactly. That's it. And I think that's such a beautiful, beautiful way of looking at it and explaining it,
No, it sounds like I don't like being happy either, but I do. But
yeah, we like all of it. It's in a way because it's needed, right? So the thing is, and this is one of those really, exquisite gourmet emotional points, I feel. A lot of people think I am happy, I am sad, I am angry, but can you actually have two emotions at once?
Oh, big time.
Absolutely. You can be completely excited and frustrated. You can be a little sad, but also have lots of anticipation. You can have many emotions at once. And the whole point is that when your heart is completely charged, you literally have all of those emotions at once. And then you realize suddenly that the sadness, the depression, the hopelessness, those are anchors. They are the grounding for being high as hell when you're excited and ecstatic. So the stronger those emotions are, the more they ground you when you're completely high, and you have that totality all at once. And that is unconditional love. You have all of those emotions present in your heart at once. You're like, oh, that's impossible. That's impossible. I can hardly hold two thoughts in my head at once, Jason. Come on. But your heart is infinite. It basically is a field of energy, and it's able to take all of those frequencies at once. And you're like, oh, where's the scientific evidence for this, Jason Shields? Well, this is the evidence that you only get when you work with yourself. There's no scientific measure for this experience, actually.
Yeah, like you say with I think, therefore I am, it kind of limits you a lot, though.
It does.
Because I don't always think good.
No,
so
that's also
I would prefer to not have to think all the time always.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And it's such a
you switch it off and say, don't you just say I am, therefore I think.
Yes, that's correct. That's the way I often say it. That's right. I am, therefore I think. I am, therefore I feel. I am, therefore I act. Right?
Which gives much more totality around it.
Yeah. I feel that really has helped me a lot. So I have a friend, and he has two small children, and he has a beautiful wife, and he has a great job. He lives in a small community, and his life is perfect. Okay, it's perfect. And he goes through rounds and rounds of horrific panic anxiety because he's afraid to lose that. Right? And you've had some panic anxiety.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right?
Mm-mm.
And people who don't understand what panic anxiety is, I mean, you have the worst fear that you can imagine slamming through your body, the absolute positively concrete idea that you're about to die. Your body's going through a sympathetic reaction that you're shutting down or you're shaking. It's terror, total terror, right?
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah. And then the question is, do you put that on something? Do you try in that situation, do you realize that you're having panic anxiety, and then you're going to try to say, oh, it's because of the ice cream man or it's because of the movie I saw last night? Or are you just accepting the fact that you're having this and moving forward? You know, what advice would you give my friend? You know, he's
Well, I think I've talked to some people now that have had anxiety or panic. I don't, and I think you can experience it differently. I think the triggering can be different. Like you can feel haunted. You can feel that you're not in your body. For me, it was just a wave of like I was overwhelmed, really overwhelmed. What helped me is just that I understand it's a process.
Yeah.
I understand it's a process. I understand what is happening. And it's okay.
Yeah.
I think I wasn't trying to not have it.
Mm-hmm.
It was really frustrating when it's 2:00 at night and you're gonna wake up at 5:30 and you just want to sleep, and every time you put your head on the pillow, it just starts triggering, and you have to sit up in bed again because then it stops. In that way that you don't having to hyperventilate and go through it, which is not that pleasant. But I never covered it up.
Mm-hmm.
I was also honest with the people that are closest to me that it is happening.
Yeah.
And I didn't say it in face because that was too hard, because if I said it, it was also triggering. So I sent them in a message saying just that, so everything's fine. It's panic attacks.
Yeah.
But I will be fine, and I am fine because I'm clear. But it's just having it has to happen now, and just hopefully it will be over soon. But that's the period right now.
Yeah, exactly.
So to have honesty about it and not to hide it.
Mm-hmm.
I was still working without having issues because work is my happy place, my free place. I'm so lucky to work in a clinic when we have so many amazing patients, and they gave me energy because I can serve them.
Yes.
And the panic I could use to serve.
Yeah.
In a way, and you have so much more compassion for the people walking in the door and what they have to deal with. So that helped me a lot. But I think the best advice is to just accept it.
Yeah.
Don't drown in it. You shouldn't accept it that way, that, oh, this is how it's going to be for the rest of my life. But you know, stay calm and accept that this is happening. Be honest with the people around you, and look at the facts. You know, it will not disappear. And when you had it a couple of times, you can see that it's happening. I feel when it's getting triggered.
Yeah.
So then I also know, you know, okay, it's coming now. So I can kind of prepare myself a little bit that, okay, perhaps the next day is going to be a little bit rough now. And that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's okay because it's always a process. Things always is changing. Like I'm now in the difference between jumping back and forth from being very outward going, happy, ecstatic to all of a sudden inward going, which is exhausting actually, in a different way than a panic attack, but it's still exhausting.
Yeah.
You know, but if you have to accept it.
Yeah. Accept it.
And you're not a bad person for having it.
Not at all.
It doesn't change the value you have as a human. It doesn't change who you are. I think a lot of people actually have panic attacks, depression, without knowing it.
Yeah.
Because they're just, oh my God, it's happening, and they're shaking, or they're, oh, this. But they don't actually understand what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you're so lucky that you actually know what it is,
Identify, I'm having a panic
I'm
attack.
having a panic attack.
Yeah, and they can come in mild, moderate, and cray.
Yeah, but
like,
then you okay, this is what it is. Okay,
Yeah.
let's just sit down now and don't do anything and don't say anything, and if
don't
you
project it on people.
don't project it on people, because it's no one's fault, and it does. Again, I think it's so important that being depressed and being ecstatic, for that matter, and having panic attacks, it doesn't change your value as a human being.
No,
you still are, like we said, you're still a total person, and when we say also a good person, you're still a good person, and good meaning not necessarily that you always are doing the right thing, but you are a good human being. And panic attacks, it's okay to have that.
Not comfortable.
But so I hope that he can, I haven't talked to him, but I hope that he can, just
stick in there
and relax. It is okay. It's totally okay. And you're not alone in it. Everyone has them.
Yes.
In one degree or another.
That's true.
So don't be scared, homie.
Yeah. Nice.
It's good.
This is something that's interesting because you were talking about how, your work was your free place, and you do such an excellent job of filling up your space, the position that you have. And that's something that you've always done. Each one of the positions that you've had have constantly had to grow because you grow, you fill, and you break out the windows, you break out the walls, and you take a step forward, and the position has to grow with you because you're always that person who's going to evolve and get better. So
that's one of the things that has always...
It's always been there.
That's not something... It's always been there.
Yeah, exactly. And you take leadership roles, you expand your boundaries. It's been obvious since I've known you. I've known you since you were 15 years old. I've seen this the whole way. Always very impressive. But it sounds in a way like it's hard work, which it is. It sounds like it's a lot of sacrifice, which it is. But interestingly enough, because you've patterned yourself so strongly to be excellent at your work, even when you're in the midst of depression, sadness, panic attacks, you step into the office and you suit up and you're awesome. And you like you're saying, you almost get a break from these attacks in a way. It's like your free space coming to work because you've patterned yourself so strongly that when I'm at work, it's like this, and of course people give you good energy. Of course everybody loves Marit when they come to the clinic. But it's the fact that you absolutely positively will not accept not doing the job.
No, but that has come over time, especially here in the clinic. And we have a rule, like when I'm in the reception is holy, the hallway is holy, and the treatments room are holy. So however I feel doesn't matter. If I'm happy, because the issue is also if I'm too ecstatic in the clinic, I also do a worse job because people come in with a lot of suffering, pain, so I can't be too high energy either. So I can't let the way I'm feeling inside necessarily affect the way I'm working and treating the patient. And if whatever I'm feeling, it doesn't matter because everyone has to be seen. The job has to be done.
In a way, so you're saying, I accept the way I feel, but my role here is to serve people and make a difference.
Yeah, and we have the rule that when we walk down the stairs from the lunchroom, you switch.
Yeah, that's it.
So when I'm in the lunchroom or in the back office, I allow myself to feel.
Yeah.
Because then I'm not putting myself in a role. I'll allow myself to feel. And so in the periods where it's very heavy, I don't necessarily... I push a little bit of the work to the side, not neglecting it. I do whatever is necessary, but I don't do more in the back office right then, because I know I don't have the energy for that, because I allow myself to have the feeling.
Yes.
But when I step into the reception again, I step into the role, and then we work.
Yes, you honor the feeling. You accept the fact that you're having those feelings. You give that space, but you do that on time that you allow yourself.
Yeah, so it's not a problem to go down to the reception, answer the phone in a polite way, helping the patients. Right. But then in the break room, when you ask me a question, I go,
Yeah.
Like we had, I think, 3 weeks with grunting
Yes.
upstairs because I didn't have the energy, and I'm lucky enough to have amazing coworkers like you and Siv. So I don't have to be a role with you guys. No. So then I could just allow myself to have the emotion I was having.
Yeah.
But again, the phone rang. You switch into the role when you walk down the stairs.
Exactly. And that's actually something that it's beautiful, because in serving others, you don't make it about yourself. So serving others gives you a break sometimes from your inner processes. And like you were saying, it's not wrong to take a step out and take a break and then go back into it if you need to, right? It's not escaping the process. It's basically taking a break. So when things are about me, then whatever's happening in me is what's going on. But when things are about my patients, then of course, what's going on in me, I get a break from it. So it's actually a very healthy and good thing sometimes to make things about somebody else, and it's also very positive for the world. The world goes around because I care about you, you care about me, we serve people serve us, people are always exchanging energy that way, but it gives us that micro break sometimes that we need to get through. So,
and I think again, when I do it, I never cover them with a blanket, because I still feel them.
Yes.
It's not that I'm not, just so that's clear, I'm not ignoring them.
No.
Because the happiness is still there. I still feel great, or I feel sad, or I have the panic in me. But right there and then, that feeling doesn't matter. So I know it's there, but I don't act on it.
Exactly.
I do that in private or with my best friends, because they accept me whatever I'm going through. So, and they know that, okay, now she's working with something. So, and again, it gives you much more compassion for the people around you.
Exactly. Once you've had the experience yourself, how can you be a great doctor if you've never been sick? You don't understand what the patient's going through. You don't understand that vulnerability. And if you've never had real depression, how do you understand that? How do you have compassion for a person? You can think you have compassion, but you don't understand until you've had that feeling, right?
No, and it's kind of like same like with migraines. I've had a lot of migraines before, and when I get them, I don't work. I lose myself completely when I hit my head in a wall.
The pain is so bad that
I
you
get
would
lost.
Smash your head in the wall.
Yes, it's insane.
Hitting your head is actually less painful. It gives you a break from the real pain that's going on in the migraine.
And I don't have, thank God, I don't have a lot of them now.
No.
I had a lot before.
Yeah.
And in previous workplaces, it was very interesting, because the ones that have had migraines said, I'm getting a migraine now. I have to take care of this. If not, I will be gone for a week.
Yeah.
And if they have had the experience of having a migraine, they go, you go.
Yeah. Oh.
But the ones that haven't had it, they just went, isn't it just a headache? Like, buckle up, dude.
Yeah.
And same, like we have had the experience in the clinic many times when people come in with their severe back pain for the first time. They go, holy shit.
Yes.
Now I understand.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we actually had a funny experience when I was in Bergen. I was working in a big medical clinic there. And a lot, for some reason, I had gotten a lot of patients from the kitchen in the big hospital. And the boss for the kitchen there was just notoriously like horrible, like worst boss ever. And the thing that he was down on you the most was having back pain or neck pain. It was like, you were lazy. You didn't want to work.
You didn't want to suck it up.
You didn't want to suck it up. It's like, how bad could it be? And you're a little stiff today. And let's be honest, working in an industrial kitchen's heavy, and very often it's a female dominated profession in the healthcare sector in the kitchen. So these absolutely fantastic human beings, these angels, make good, high quality food for the people who are sick in the hospital, and they work their fingers to the bone. I mean, the big pots, I was in there, the big pots they're using they're giant. The amount of food that they're producing every day is a lot. I mean, it's amazing. And you're going to have some musculoskeletal issues, and Of course, women on average are smaller. So the percentage of their body weight that they're lifting when they're lifting like a 25 kilo sack of something is like half their body weight. For me, it would be a fourth, right? So, I mean, it was a very physically demanding job. And this guy was just horrible until he got sciatica. And he showed up in my office and, we adjusted him. He had a huge prolapse. We adjusted him. He got well, like almost everybody that goes to a chiropractor for those kind of things. And after that, what a change, man. He's like, oh, Martha, you're walking a little stiff today. You need to go see Jason. You got to get that checked. Again, that compassion through direct experience is so important. And do you really want to go through your life skimming the top, not having real experience? Or do you want to have had the experience, the human experience, So sometimes you're going to have to accept the fact that you're going to go through a dark period or a light period because you need it. And my friends, you're going to go through periods of loss. That's life. You're going to lose family members, friends, your job, this whole COVID thing that's happened, people losing their jobs and businesses and houses, and relationships are breaking down, and these mental issues become more and more important to look at, because when you do it with awareness and consciousness, and you understand that you need the people around you to support you, then you're basically a lot better than a person who's, just trying to escape what's going on inside themselves. Because, my friends, if you try to escape the process, the emotional process that's going on inside you, they don't disappear. You just don't notice how they're screwing you up.
Yeah, because it's still happening.
It's still happening. That's it. A lot of guys walk around with massive emotional souls, but because there's so much in their head, they have no contact with it, and they do weird stuff. They do lots of random stuff, and you ask afterwards, why did you do that? I don't know. Just happened, Oh, really?
Or they had a reason for it.
Yeah, well, they make up a reason afterwards, right? It's very interesting. And for those of you that don't know about this, but your mind does that all the time. Your mind makes up meanings and ideas around things all the time that aren't accurate. For example, if you put your hand on a hot stove and you pull your hand away, your brain tells you that it was hot, therefore you pulled your hand away. But in reality, your nervous system protected you. The heat impulses goes to your spinal cord, and there's a reflex there that says that's hot, and it reflexively pulls your hand away. And then your mind gets a message that happened. And the prefrontal cortex then decides to make up a story as, oh, I pulled my hand off. No, that happened reflexively. The same thing happens to us very much emotionally when we're not in contact with ourselves, that you make up all kinds of ideas and rationales of the way it was or why you did something when it just freaking happened because your subconscious is working and doing stuff that you're not aware of. So giving yourself the time to work on the inside, accepting yourself, is definitely the pathway to a better life. So it's worth it. Would you say it's worth it, Marit?
Yes.
Yes. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. It's good,
yes,
but not pleasurable,
is.
right? Like,
yeah. I think that's Eirik had that saying. I think it's amazing. It's always good, but it's not always pleasurable.
Yes.
But again, I went into this process with consciousness. I did it on purpose. So and I understand that because I've been ignoring, again, like the dark side for a long time. Because that's like I said in episode 3, like, no, that's not who I am. That's not who I am. But like I said, no, that's not who I choose to be or want to be.
Yeah.
But I accept that I have it.
Yes.
And I also said that it's like we talked about, what's your highest goals and ambition. I think that is very important to have some sort of what's your highest goals and ambition in life, like what you want. And I said, I want everything. Did not specify.
Right.
Should have had done that.
Yes.
But I still mean it.
Yes.
I want everything.
Yes.
Now knowing that everything also doesn't always mean just good.
Right.
Pleasurable. It is it also the other side of life, Yeah. So yes, it's definitely worth it, because to walk through life not seeing all the colors
Yes.
and only seeing perhaps black and white. Like
Yes.
I like to frame it is half-life.
Yeah, it is. It's a half life, and it's a superficial, strange life as well.
And you're gonna, like I said, you're gonna get caught in it, because again, before I still had all of these feelings and panic and anxiety and everything, and I still had it. I just didn't know that was what it was. I didn't know that was happening, and it took control over me instead of me actually seeing, oh, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Let's use this for something now.
Exactly.
And use it for something that actually benefits me in my process, instead of letting it take over me and let it go out of my, like, you project it on other people, which is not good.
No.
And I've done that as well, of course. So
that's normal. Like, everybody has that, right?
Right, you anger. You, like my niece said once, like, my mom yells at my dad. My dad yells at me, and I yell at the cat.
Yeah, exactly.
So now I stop that process, and when I get yelled at, okay.
I'm getting yelled at now. All right.
Okay, I'm getting yelled at. But most likely it's not me. They are going through something, and they are angry because whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And, you guys had one of my girlfriends. I love her. She's a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And she has, of course, now parent teacher conferences.
Ooh.
And they're doing homeschooling, and people are stressed at home. They have to stay home with their kids the whole day because they're not at school, and they're not allowed to go to work because it's in lockdown. Lockdown.
Exactly.
It's insane.
Oh,
and then you have a parent teacher conference, and the parents are, of course, yelling at the teacher.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
I said, you have to look at this. I said, are what you're saying true?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. Are you saying in a kind way and trying to inform the parents about what's going on with the student? Yes, I am. Then maybe they're just projecting on you. Because you have to understand that they are at home with their kid. And perhaps they're seeing side of the kids that they're not used to. And often, sorry to say, but if you see a side of your kid that you don't like, that's a projection on you. Parent skills.
Yeah.
And you see side of yourself, because the kids, they pick up everything.
Yeah.
I've seen, it's insane. So you get stressed, you are in pressure from work because you have to go like home office. You don't have a home office. So you have to do work, watching your laundry, watching the kitchen, watching the mess around you. And your husband is stressed, your wife is stressed, and it's a mess.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then you're going to have a parent-teacher conference, and you're going to be calm when they point at something that's not good and your kid should perhaps improve upon, right? So I just told her, like, when they're yelling at you, maybe it's not you.
Yeah, they're yelling.
They're yelling.
Yeah, they're not yelling at you. They're yelling. They may even intend to be yelling at you, but they're actually not yelling.
Most likely not.
They're just freaking out.
They're freaking out.
Exactly.
And don't take that personal.
Yeah, and this is a very interesting theme because I had a patient come in, and I'm talking about super achievement oriented, extremely intelligent woman who has a great heart, and she's with it, man. She's totally with it. And she came into a new position. I mean, she's so good at her job, they created a new position for her. And they combined two other positions, meaning that it was a 200% position, and she's so efficient that she's able to work it so that it's a 100% position. I mean, she's really super. So no lack of capacity. And she came in the other day and she's like, I'm freaking out. And I'm like, what's going on? No, I'm freaking out. Like I'm not okay. I'm like, what's going on? I'm at home with my kids all day long. She's like, and I'm like, what? What's going? Are they okay? Are they healthy? Yeah, they're great. But I need a break. I'm freaking out. Like, and I feel so bad because all my girlfriends, they all talk about how they love being with their kids all the time. I'm freaking out, Jason. What am I gonna do? And I'm like, okay. Okay.
I totally understand that, by the way. I
Yeah.
would freak out.
Oh yeah, but that's what's happening. Her husband is they're renovating a house, so he's a carpenter, so he of course is taking that part of the job. So he's building the new house. He's renovating. She's at home taking care of the kids. It's homeschooling time, and she has a home office. So
With a 200% position.
with a 200% position, so she's having to work. She's having to take care of the kids. It's too much, and she can't leave, right? Because they're too small for her to leave. So it's
Yeah,
not
and
like she can say, "I'll be back."
You can't leave now because it's also locked.
It's
Like
locked
you're
down.
locked inside.
Yeah, you're locked inside. So, the whole point is that learning how to give yourself a micro break is so important, and also arranging this. But you also have this other issue, and that is that you look at Instagram, you look at Facebook, you look at movies. I mean, people live the highlight life. Nobody talks about their darkness. Nobody talks about their freakouts. Nobody talks about their panic. Nobody's telling you that I'm a world champion in jiu-jitsu. I own a giant clinic. I've been meditating for years. I'm super healthy. Every aspect of my life is beautiful and is basically the way I want it. But does that mean that I'm successful at everything I try the first time? No. Does it mean that I don't have highs and lows? No. Does it mean that I don't have depression and anxiety and hopelessness and shame and all of that stuff on top of all of the ecstasy and happiness and wonderful things that I experience? No, I have all of it. All of us have all of it. And you sometimes need a break from your little kids. And she feels totally guilty and feels like a failure as a mom because she feels she needs a break. And I'm like, all of your other friends are taking breaks. Yeah, but they never talk about having to take a break.
Of course you don't.
They don't talk about that because it's not even socially acceptable, right? Can anybody say that, wow, I have 7 kids, and I should have had 2? You're not allowed to say that you're exhausted from your kids. You're not allowed in society to say that, you know what, I'm in over my head. I need a break. You're supposed to be able to deal with that. And though, yes,
you
it
have
is.
to champ through.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be a
But
champ.
again,
push
I think push through it means actually going through it, not over it.
Yes, exactly.
And we talked about in the third episode, like, go through it. And I hope you be strong in it. And like, I know I haven't been the best wife lately because I have no energy for that.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, but and that's okay. And it's totally okay. And I told my husband that I love you. I love you to death, but right now I'm tired.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And I said it will go over, it will pass, and it's not you.
Yeah, that's it.
It has nothing to do with you. It's just I'm walking through this right now, and I will come out stronger on the other side. But right now, I'm not gonna make dinner every Friday when you get home.
No, exactly.
Just so you know.
Yeah.
That's happening.
Yeah.
Or that's not happening.
That's not happening, right?
In that case.
And
what does good wife means? Right? What does good mom means? I think if you are a mom and you can stand and kind of show the kids, sometimes it's tough.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the worst thing you can do actually is not to ignore it and kind of don't show your kids life.
Yeah.
Life is everything. Life is total. Life is happiness, ecstatic. It is high and low. It is everything.
Yes.
And I think it's much more healthy for kids to, and for everyone. If you're gonna have, I love my friends and my peer group especially because we are honest about everything.
Yeah.
Like about the processes we are in. That we see the highs, we see the lows. We're not having to hide anything.
No.
And again, we go into different roles, like the clinic.
Yeah.
Then I'm working the clinic.
Yeah.
But I'm never ignoring the processes I'm in.
Yeah. Well, and
you have to work through them.
Yes.
If not, they're gonna come bite you in the ass.
Exactly. The solution is in being where you are, right? It's in being where you are. So what I mean by that is, in her case specifically, is that she's going to just feel shame and horror inside, and not find a way to. She shouldn't, right? But if she does, that's okay. Then that should motivate her to find some way to take a break and accept the fact that she needs to break, not to ignore the fact that she needs a break and then blow up.
No, but I especially understand the whole shame and not shame feeling, because you're not. What's the word in English for it? I have to say it in Norwegian, and you have to find it. It's like a till.
Yeah, to be able to cover the need, you know, it's
because you're so used to cover it. Like in her case, if it's a 200% position, you used to cover it because you're so efficient, but you know, circumstances change right now, and right now you're not able to, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But I totally understand the feeling she may have around it, or because I had that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for me, it helps to look at the facts around it, because you get so overwhelmed, and you feel you should be able to take it because, again, everyone else is doing it. You look at Instagram and everyone is enjoying the cup of coffee in the morning, and they're so happy, and the kids are amazing, and the husband is doing great, and you look at all the pitch perfect things, but life is total. Life is total.
It is, and to accept yourself in that, and to accept it, is the first step into really harnessing your personal power, right? So I just want to thank you again for being my podcasting partner, Marit. You're amazing. We love you guys a lot. We're so glad you're joining us, and we're enjoying getting all the feedback from all over the world for the podcast. And this is was our fourth, fifth,
something like that. And I would just have to add that, before you sign off, that we have gotten so much feedback, and it's been amazing to receive that, and it means a lot that people are listening and taking their time to actually, because that's something we all should be better at, taking time to give people that, you know, you're doing good, or a hand or whatever, and that people have taken their time now to send us lovely messages and giving us feedback and asking questions have been very, very I don't like the word motivational, but it is.
Thank you. It is quite giving, as we love it. We love you guys. So remember, you matter, unless you multiply yourself by the speed of light squared, and then your energy. But if you can't be energy, matter.